Split, Croatia, the second largest city after Zagreb. Split is the largest coastal city in Croatia. There are great beaches, a charming city, and amazing food. Split was the first stop on the trip. Later on, I went to the islands of Hvar and Vis. I love visiting Split, but it's definitely the most touristy spot of the trip. The area near the ferries and the cruise port is definitely the worst part of the tourist traps. No rules are 100% absolutes, but if you could see the ocean, you're probably going to pay more and get lower quality food. I recommend eating in the older part of the city. If you see shadows and narrow walkways, you're on the right path. I don't have any photos, but my favorite restaurant in Split was Apetit. I'll put a link in the description. I recommend the homemade macaroni with smoked ham and truffles. I would recommend spending 1 to 2 days in Split. There was a lot of great visuals, history, and tons of street art. It's also a great destination for a stop on a cruise, considering it is a pretty small and walkable city. The island of Hvar. I stayed in the town of Jelsa, which is located on the northern coast of the island in the center. I would recommend considering staying in this area if you're going to visit. It is much more relaxed than the area of Hvar town. It doesn't lack any of the amenities and has the vibe that you're staying in a real neighborhood. Also, by being located in the center of the island, it gives you a lot of opportunities for exploring, especially if you have a rent-a-car, which I recommend. Besides the amazing views, there are a lot of spots on the island where you can just pull over and go for a quick swim. Hora Hvar is a farm-to-table restaurant that requires reservations. They also require that you order your food the day before, because yes, everything is that fresh. The restaurant is located in the middle of a very large family vineyard. This was not only my favorite meal on the island, this was my favorite meal of the trip. If you're going to be on Hvar, I would put this on the top of the list. This outdoor restaurant has amazing views and even better food. Luckily, when we were there, parked outside was a fleet of vintage Volkswagen Beetles. Croatia is a very large country with lots of coastal area. If you're going to make a trip, I highly recommend getting to the islands. We did our island hopping by taking local ferries. This is very convenient as well as affordable. Once you are on the island, consider taking a water taxi to go from one coastal destination to another. Vis Island. This was not only the final destination of our trip, but also my favorite spot in Croatia. Just as beautiful and as amazing as Hvar, it is located a little further away from the mainland, so therefore it is less touristy. Even though the movie takes place in Greece, this is where Mamma Mia 2 was shot. My girlfriend Hillary is a big fan of the movie, and the restaurant was on the top of her list. I was hesitant about going to a restaurant from a movie, considering it might be a tourist trap and the food would not be great. I looked at the spot on Google Maps. It was not only very highly rated, but it was already saved on the map from an unrelated search just based on food. I'm going to do both of us a favor and not even attempt to pronounce the name of this restaurant. I've listed it on the screen and will also put a link in the description. We went there during lunch, and not only were we able to get a table, we were able to get the most famous table, which is featured in the movie. If you're on Vis, I recommend checking this one out. You will not be disappointed. Restaurant Villa Capioli. This was my second favorite restaurant on Vis. I'm guessing you could see why. This is a picture of the menu. Also, Croatia has the best grilled vegetables I ever had, and I recommend adding them at every meal. While you're on the island, you'll see boats, both big and small, pulling up and eating at restaurants. One of the best things about the Croatian islands is if you pull up in a boat, even a mega yacht, the waiters will bring it directly to the boat. This is great since they're not using one of the restaurant's tables. It makes it much easier to go out to eat. I also recommend checking out Kino Cinema, located right on the ocean. We went there several times during the trip. Stiniva Beach. It has been voted the most beautiful beach in Europe many times, and should also be voted one of the most difficult to get to. It is also accessible by boat, which is much easier and will be much more expensive. We opted to trek down by foot. I recommend taking it slow and only consider doing that if you are up for it, because it was a little strenuous. The beach is amazing, and I highly recommend consider going if you feel that you're up for it. One of the best tips I would have is making sure that you leave the beach before it gets dark, because doing this at night I think would be extremely difficult. Give yourself some extra time to rest and to take photos at the end of the day, as the light is very nice. Also, there is a bar that has food down there. Options are limited, so considering packing something beforehand as well. When you are traveling during the day, I always recommend wearing a bathing suit or having one packed in your bag. There is always going to be a swimming spot that you can find. I spent a lot of days in Vis just walking around with my camera. The island has a very authentic and lived-in feel. Wherever you visit, there will always be tourists. When you're walking around, you still feel like the town belongs to the locals, which is getting rarer and rarer the more people travel. I guess it's only a matter of time before every place gets discovered, but this one still feels like a hidden gem. Here is a selection of my favorite photos and videos from the rest of the trip. If you have any questions about visiting Croatia, or if you've been there and have some travel tips of your own, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.